Ambassador Thalrax had witnessed many inexplicable human behaviors during his tenure at the Interspecies Research Station, but this defied all logic. 6 Krindler cubs, apex predators in training, each weighing 200 pounds of muscle, fang, and claw, had positioned themselves in front of the habitat's main exit. They lounged across the doorway in a pile of limbs and glowing spines, effectively creating a living barrier. Standard protocol dictated sedation darts and mechanical extraction. The last handler who tried to physically move them had lost an arm. Then Dr. Rebecca Torres arrived for her shift. She approached the door, datapad in one hand, coffee in the other, seemingly oblivious to the wall of predators blocking her path. Thalrax activated the emergency communication system, ready to call medical response. Rebecca stopped 3 feet from the cubs and spoke in that casual human tone. "Excuse me, guys. Need to get through." What happened next would be reviewed by xenobiologists across 17 sectors. The cubs didn't scatter in confusion. They didn't attack. They moved with synchronized precision, each one rising smoothly, repositioning to either side of the doorway and sitting at attention. They created a perfect corridor, wide enough for Rebecca to pass comfortably. She walked through, pausing only to pat each head in turn. "Thank you. Good babies." The moment she passed, the cubs collapsed back into their pile, resuming their nap as if nothing had occurred. Thalrax stood frozen, his breathing apparatus clicking rapidly. He replayed the footage 3 times before calling an emergency meeting. She said, "Excuse me," xenobehaviorist Dr. Exinvara stated, watching the recording for the 7th time. "And they obeyed?" "Not obeyed," corrected Dr. Vell. "That's a crystalline being specializing in predator psychology. They responded to a superior's polite command. Look at their language, ears forward, spines neutral, weight balanced. That's respect, not fear." Thalrax pulled up the incident with a previous handler. The approach had been aggressive, loud noises, dominance posturing, an attempt to physically intimidate creatures that knew no natural predators. Rebecca's approach? Polite acknowledgement of their presence, clear communication of her needs, and gratitude for compliance. It's pack hierarchy, Dr. Marcus Chun, another human researcher, explained when summoned to the meeting. Rebecca established herself as pack leader weeks ago, not through violence or intimidation, through consistency, fairness, and mutual respect. Pack leader? Thalrax's translator struggled with the concept. On Earth, many predators live in social groups with defined hierarchies. Wolves, lions, certain primates, including humans. The leader isn't always the strongest. Often, it's the one who maintains order, settles disputes, and ensures the pack survival. Marcus pulled up Rebecca's interaction logs. Every day, for 6 weeks, she'd maintained consistent routines, feeding at the same times, playing by the same rules, enforcing boundaries gently but firmly. When cubs got too rough, she'd say no and withdraw attention. When they behaved well, she'd reward with affection and treats. She trained them. Exinvara asked. She socialized them. Marcus corrected. There's a difference. Training is forcing behavior through punishment and reward. Socialization is teaching acceptable behavior within a social structure. Thalrax watched the footage again. Rebecca's "excuse me" wasn't a command. It was a request between pack members. She'd acknowledged the cubs' right to occupy that space while clearly stating her need to pass. The cubs had responded because refusing would violate pack etiquette. Humans domesticated wolves 15,000 years ago. Marcus continued. We turned apex predators into pets through mutual cooperation. We didn't break their spirits. We invited them into our social structure. And these cubs see Dr. Torres as alpha, pack leader, mom. Marcus shrugged. The translation doesn't matter. What matters is they trust her leadership. Days later, Thalrax needed to enter the habitat for an inspection. The cubs again blocked the door. He took a breath, channeled his best human approximation, and spoke. "Excuse me. I need to pass." The cubs stared at him, didn't move. Rebecca's voice came from inside the habitat. "Guys, let Ambassador Thalrax through. He's family." Immediately, The cubs moved, same synchronized precision, same attentive sitting positions. Thalrax walked through the corridor, marveling at creatures that could tear him apart, but chose to sit politely. "Thank you," he said awkwardly. One cub chirped. Another's spines glowed soft blue. Rebecca grinned from across the habitat. "See? They're good kids. You just have to ask nicely." Thalrax updated his report that evening.